topic for this week is chronological order. So we're going to talk about sequence of events, the objectives, time order, concepts, assessment, and we're going to review and make an exercise. What is chronology? We're going to start with this concept. It's the science of ordering of events by time. It's closely related to timekeeping itself and is important across almost every discipline of study, not only in literature, not only in reading, in all the science. It's very important to see chronology. For example, in a normal activity, let's think about candle making. Chronology means a timeline of events or a history. For example, a chronology of candle making would give a timeline of candle making's history from its first appearance up until today, how people long time ago started making candles and how people do candles now. So you can find chronologies of just about everything, okay? And chronology is going to study the dates back to ancient times, and it's obviously still incredibly important today. Now, more specific, in literature, most authors write their story as a sequence of events, as we have seen a lot of times in class. The beginning, the middle, and the end is going to be like the chronological order of a story. Sticking with the chronological timeline is the easiest way for audiences to follow what happened, and is generally the best way to show cause and effect, because with that we can see what happened and why it happened in a story. But some authors may be more risky with a story's chronology, sharing events out of order. For example, we have seen a lot of movies and we have read a lot of books that they may start the story at the end and work backwards, jump back and forth in time, and so on. There are a lot of stories that show us this way of writing in timeline. Chronological order in everyday life. As we see, all of us have to follow a kind of a schedule for our activities, even now that we are in our house. I know that a lot of you have a kind of a schedule in which you wake up, maybe you wait for the class, and you have certain activities to do even now that you're in your house. So as a person plans out their day or week, they tend to keep track of things in chronological order, from morning to night and Monday to Sunday. Essential understandings. Here we're going to talk about the importance of sequence. We have three kind or types of sequence. Arranging things. It means that the chronological order is a way of arranging actions or events according to the time they occur. Then we have also a timeline. And this technique is mainly crucial in history and social studies because events are presented from how something began until how it ended. And the other one is the life events that we're going to see more in biographies of key people that are often ranged from childhood to one's passing. In this way we can know the timeline of the life events of a person since he or she was born until she or he died. The chronological order is used everywhere, from scholar works to cookbooks to popular culture. We have listened a lot of recipes in cooking that you have to follow the steps. That would be also a chronological order because you are structuring things with a beginning, a middle, and an end, or in that order, makes information easier for most of people to absorb, whether that information is a history lesson or the plot or a recipe, as I told you. So, and obviously, we have worked a lot during the class in the beginning, the middle, and the end of a story. Now, we have also what we're going to call transitional words. these are phrases that are often we use them to show chronological order in a story, and they are very extremely necessary to clear and to identify the sequence of the events. The expressions that we use are at first, next, afterwards, and previously. And most of the time, signals can also serve as a sequence devices like early in the morning, 34 years ago, from July in 1986, over the next 10 years. Those are going to be like words that are going to help us to identify the sequence or the chronological events in a story. Now, also in television or in movies, it's very important to make use of the time order. The one example that it's very obvious would be the animated movie Toy Story 2. The tale of how Buzz Lightyear rescued Sheriff Woody was arranged in this sequence. Remember, from Woody's abduction to his first encounter with Jessie, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete, followed by Buzz's struggle to search for him, his reunion with his friends, subsequently unveiling the prospector's plan to bring the whole Roundup gang to Tokyo, their attempts to save Jessie at the airport, and finally returning to Andy's home together and to be on the bed to receive Andy. So that would be a chronological order. Chronos is going to mean time, and logic is going to mean order. Okay, so when information in a passage is organized by the time in which each event occurred, it is organized chronologically. A Journey Through Time is non-fiction passages that are organized chronologically, often contains dates. Remember, we're talking about non-fiction. But for fiction, passages or narratives are more subtle and are organized chronologically, but usually have no dates. So that would be a very important information to have in mind, that in non-fiction passages we're going to have dates, but in fiction passages we're going to follow an order, a chronological order, but we're not going to use dates. The time order sometimes tells us that time will stop in a narrative, and certain passages in a story may focus on describing the scenario, the spaces, and use descriptive words or special method to organize and for you to understand better the chronological order of events in a story. Remember, stories are told chronologically or in order of time, always. Now, talking about chronological order in real life, as we already said, is, for example, this morning was crazy. My alarm clock was set for p.m. instead of I.m. So I woke up really, really late. I just threw on some clothes and ran out the door. I rode my bike, as fast as I could, and thought that I was going to be late for sure. But when I got there, everyone was outside, and there were fire trucks all lined up in front of the school. I guess somebody pulled the fire alarm before class started. It worked out though, because nobody really noticed or minded that I was late. We have here a graph that shows us the chronological order of this little passage. He woke up late, he got ready, he rode back to school, and finally he saw people outside from school. This would be chronological order in real life. The types of, we have different types of chronology. Chronology is pretty straightforward because it relies completely on time. What happened first, next, then, and last. But we have also types of chronology. So we're going to check them. We have the number one, it's a linear narrative. That would be the normal chronology. We have number two, that it's reverse chronology. That is the telling of a story from the end to the beginning, sharing events in the reverse order from which they occurred in time. And finally, number three, we have nonlinear narrative. That is when you tell a story in a series of separate events told out of chronological order. Then we have the non-chronological. We have also this, that it's going to be Flashback. A look back at the past within an otherwise of chronological story. Number 2, reverse chronology, telling a story backwards. And number 3, nonlinear narrative. Story order and chronological order are distinct from one to another. And we have a lot of stories and movies that has or follow this pattern of non-chronological order. Now, we're going to have a little review. Chronological order is a text structure that authors use to describe events in time order. You can recognize this text structure by looking for words such as during, while, meanwhile, as. And they describe events that happen at the same time. Again, beginning, middle, and end, okay? And we have it in all kind of stories. Now, we're going to make a little exercise. The instruction is going to be that first you watch the video, that it's a trailer of a movie of Pelé, then you read, and then you write the correct letter corresponding to the facts that they are going to tell you about this football player. Okay, so I'm going to give you time to read the biography of Pelé, then you watch the video, and finally we're going to answer the questions. Okay, so in 1940, it's going to be letter A. He was born into a Brazilian family. In 56 is letter C, that he joined his first soccer team. Then in 1974, we're going to have letter G, that he retired for the first time. And finally, on 1977, it's going to be letter F, League Championship. So this is a biography. It's the most common example of chronological order in a story or in a text. I really hope you enjoy this. You can read it as many times as you wish. I really hope that you like it. Stay safe and see you soon.